Hello, welcome to the Nutrishare podcast. I'm Gibran Maciel with Storytellers Consulting, and I'll be your host for today. Today we're chatting with Nutrishare consumer Malik Saunders. Malik suffered major, life-altering trauma in a car accident in October of 2004, and among other things, lost major sections of his intestines and became TPN dependent. Since then, Malik has had a harrowing journey to recovery and has found a new focus on family and his creative outlets, like spoken word poetry, to share his story, lift others up, and give meaning to his journey. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to Malik for sharing. Note, there is no medical advice provided in this interview. It is from a patient's perspective. Words and terms may not be medically correct. Seek medical advice from your provider. Are you a long-term home TPN consumer? Find out if Nutrishare is right for you. Visit their website at nutrishare.com or call 1-800-HOME-TPN. Again, that's 1-800-HOME-TPN. All right, let's get started.
Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Yes, sir.
Okay, in 3, 2, 1, boom. It's another episode of the Nutrishare podcast. I'm here with Malik Saunders. We met actually at Nutrishare wearing my other hat, the SBS CP hat. But after the Sally Moore story came out, you reached out to me on Facebook, and I think it's super positive because that's, I think, exactly what we're trying to do with the Nutrishare podcast is sort of just tell some consumer stories. Everyone's pathways are maybe a little bit different. But nonetheless, there's probably some overarching themes, and I think people like to hear whether the stories are redemptive, inspiring, or just kind of hear some humanity come out of the whole thing.
Yeah, and that Sally Moore story that touched me because she was a big influence in my life a while back for a couple of years.
You know what? I keep hearing this, and it's like I feel like Sally Moore is like a litmus test for character. If you don't like her, there's probably something wrong with you.
Yeah.
There's probably something wrong with you if you don't like her. Yeah. So I'm your host. I'm Gibran Maciel. I'm with Storytellers Consulting Services. We help you tell your story. Nutrishare's Nutrishare's contracted me to sort of, like I said, kind of tell some of these stories. But just to be clear, you've not been paid for this.
No.
So we're just here to talk.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Hey, so I was getting ready for this talk here, and I saw, a number of things. You're a published author, spoken word poetry.
Yes.
Quitting is not an option. It's your Facebook page.
Yeah.
So you've someone who expresses themselves artistically and creatively as well, right?
Yeah.
Have you always had this in you, or is this something that was kind of like brought on by sort of the car accident?
Well, prior to this, I was doing music, hip hop music.
That's right. We talked about that.
Yeah. Me and some friends were searching hard for a record deal. It was before the age of computers, and you can do everything yourself now. But that was the dream. Spending a lot of times in the studio doing music, and that was my dream.
What type of hip hop?
A little bit of everything, a little hard edge to it, Some of the things, when I go back and read some of the things that I write.
You're like, man, who the heck was that guy?
Yeah, I was like, man, and there was just, some crazy stuff when you're young, That's why I tell my son's into it now, and they're actually really good, and I tell them, if you're going to do it, don't do it half-heartedly, do it all the way.
Yeah. Is this the son you're telling me you're trying to get to move in with you?
Yeah, he'll be 21 in November, man. And, I'm just hoping he comes here so I can, I can spend some real good quality time with him.
Yeah.
It would be so nice. My daughter's blessed me with, 2 grandkids, and her husband has 1. So altogether, I have 3 grandkids. And just to get my son here, they live up the street, and to be able to have my son here, I feel complete, besides my wife being back and forth out of town, with all of them together, I'd feel complete, a home, home.
It's funny, my mom just came to visit for, it's funny, it was Father's Day weekend, but my mom came to visit. That's just how it worked out. And we were all sitting together, like my mom, myself, my grandma, my wife. And my mom just looks around. She's like, "I'm so happy we're all here together." Just like the fact that we're all here together.
Yeah.
There is a thing that happens when your bloodline or whatever, your clan is together. Whether it's your people that are actually related to or not.
Especially the older you get, that's like the I don't know. It's like a beautiful feeling, especially being through things where you almost die. You almost don't have that chance. And then all of a sudden you're sitting here with like 3 generations at a table and you're looking at everybody like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, God. Thank you. Whether sharing food and being on TPN, it's hard to be able to be at the table with everybody. That's one of the things TPN, people that are on, TPN, that's not necessarily TPN will short bowel, to be able to celebrate that dinner table, it kind of causes.
So you can eat socially? You choose not to? Or?
Yeah, I do, but when I do, I like pick my meals wisely. I would definitely get it in a box, and then some people don't like, waiters don't like that.
Why in a box?
Because that way I can like pick at it and then I can take it home.
Okay, gotcha.
And still be able to social with everybody and still be around. So just but at home it's kind of hard because when everybody comes over, we'll barbecue and then sit down and eat. And me, I can't really do that because I want to visit with everybody. And if I end up eating, that would,
get you moving.
Yeah, I'm back and forth to the bathroom. Back and forth to the bathroom. Back and forth to the bathroom. That's my second home. I'm painting it right now, so I'll enjoy the way the bathroom looks. Hopefully soon.
Yeah. So you when did you? I saw on your Facebook you became TPN dependent in October of 2004.
Yeah.
You had a car accident.
Yeah.
Do you mind talking to us about that?
Yeah, it was October 15th, 2004. I had just graduated or, finished going to school for getting a certificate in business and massage therapy, and was looking forward to working with a chiropractor over off Arden Avenue. We had collaborated together, and things were starting to look up, and we went out to go celebrate the graduation, and ended up taking a wrong turn, ended up in the wrong place.
Did you go into like a one-way or what happened?
No, we were going the right way. We were doing everything we were supposed to. He was speeding a little bit, a lot of bit. He probably was going about 70 miles an hour, and I think it was like a 45 mile an hour zone. But it was a moving truck that was there that can't really say the name of the truck because of some other reasons. But the truck was there, and I'm in the back seat, and I had seen the truck. I'd seen the guy's eyes, and just everything just started getting slow and kind of weird. And
that was like your last memory.
Yeah, just his eyes, just looking at his eyeballs, and then he ends up backing back, and I'm like, I kind of ease, because he pulls his truck back. At first, it looked like he was going to pull out in front of us. And then all of a sudden, he just guns it and pulls out in front of us, and we smash into the side of him. And the seatbelt did a number. It was a lap belt, so it had squeezed up and ripped my diaphragm apart. Lacerated my liver, smashed my pancreas.
It pulled up.
Yeah, tore everything. Large and small intestine, just like shredded them like hamburger meat. Shoved everything up into my chest where it just barely missed my heart, he said.
That would have been it.
Yeah, I was literally, when they had cut me out of the back seat, because I kept telling the driver I can't breathe, like I couldn't get that second wind. And then I thought that was it. He had pulled me out to the street, and I was spitting. He said I was spitting chunks of stuff. Later on, I was spitting up. I found out my insides.
Yeah.
And then I ended up
because everything's kind of inside out.
Yeah. And
the driver was your buddy, the chiropractor.
Yeah. Well, no. He was. He actually went to the school that I went to. He was in one of the business classes I was taking, and I passed. I remember passing out, and then I remember the ambulance guy over me, and then him cutting my clothes, and then I remember like kind of passing out again. And then I remember waking up. And then I remember like just being cold on a table, and doctors yelling, beeping, noises. And then I was out, you know, had a lot of bad dreams. And then I was out for almost a week, and then I had woke up
Just to sleep?
slowly. Yeah, they put me in a induced coma. And they didn't know if I was going to wake up or if it was going to get worse because I had so many surgeries. They had to clamp my stomach open and literally put my insides out on the table and then stick. My brother said they stuck a bunch of towels.
Like figure out what's gonna stay and what's gonna go.
Yeah. Because I had lost so much blood. I lost so much blood. And when I woke, I had like tubes, you know, down my throat, breathing tubes, because both lungs had shut down. Just everything in me. I was literally strapped to the table, and I'm slowly waking up, and I can see my family coming in one by one. And, you know, at that time, I'm thinking I got to work because I thought it was on a Thursday, because we went out on a Thursday night.
You got to get to work.
Yeah, I'm like, I got to go. I thought it was Friday, so I'm wanting to go to work, and they're like telling me, don't move. And then they gave me something to relax.
You know, what's funny is I have those dreams sometimes too, where I was like, oh my God, I'm late for work. That's crazy how it follows you.
Yeah. That was the first thought, and then the second thought was when I realized something was bad. I'm like, my kids. Where are my kids at? That just started popping into my head. And then all of a sudden, I seen my daughter walk in, and my son had he had this Superman costume that he would never take off.
Okay, so how old were your kids at this time?
Jeez, my daughter was probably around 10 or 11. She was around 10 or 11. My son had to be probably 4.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere around 4. He kind of really didn't.
So very difficult for them.
Yeah. Well, for my daughter mostly. My son kind of.
Too young to understand.
He knew something was wrong with his dad. A friend of mine had later told me that my son had told him or had told somebody, "You guys don't worry, my dad's gonna live." And it just kind of like freaked them out because at the time they had heard from the doctor that I might not. So my son kind of knew something that nobody else knew, you know. And I would ask him, why did you say that? And he was like, I don't know, I just knew you were going to be okay. And it just kind of like freaked me out, you know. But it was that night I think I had like 32 surgeries in one night, and then the next night a bunch of more surgeries. And then they found out after they kind of stapled me back together, they put the ileostomy in, and then they wanted me to start trying to move. They lifted me forward, and I kept just falling forward, and then they would try to hold me up, and I would just fall back. Later on, they found out that my lower back was busted. So upon impact, I must have somehow got throwed and did something, but my L1, 2, and 3, I think, were shattered. So they had to take me back into surgery, and they didn't know if they wanted to do surgery because I just had got out of so many surgeries.
Right.
You know, and they did it in
when they like fuse them together?
Yeah, they fused them together, and it's just, I see the doctor now, and he's like, the metal they used back then, he just wishes they would have never, you know, but they were doing their best to save my life and get me going.
So you got a pin going through the 3 of them together.
Yeah, it's like I got like 3 screws, like pretty big size screws going in.
Yeah.
And then there's like a plate on the side of it. And then over here on the other side, there's like 2 more little screws.
Right. But now there's like, they don't move individually, so there's a weird leverage on the rest of your back.
Yeah, and that's the thing why I'm in future of being a hunchback, kind of, because this part won't move. So
maybe the rest of you, like,
I'm putting so much now up here, like this is comfortable. So every now and then I have to tell myself.
Man, I mean, you and me both, man.
Every now and then I have to tell myself to just sit up, you know, and you know I try to do these weights every now and then, but you know the more I lift weights, the more it hurts. So I just do body exercises, you know, just push-ups, sit-ups, and stretching. And
well, also, I mean, if you lift weights and you put like a resistance, like any sort of resistance exercise, your body's going to require more protein and more like
yeah.
right. Like
Yeah,
is that
yeah.
gonna, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
no,
I can't
you're
really
right.
speak, but
You're
like I don't
right.
really know. But like
You're
just from the little that I know, from
Yeah.
like your body's going to try and fuel muscle growth.
Yeah, and more energy. I'm going to lose more sweat. And, not saying that exercise isn't good for someone in my case. You definitely need to exercise, but
Yeah. What do they
just
tell? What do they
gotta-
tell you to do?
well,
What's like the
not too much. When I had in '06 or '04, there wasn't really too much information on any of this. It was kind of like trial and error. But now there's a lot more studies and a lot more things, just walking, walking, stretching, trying to keep yourself strong because blood infections are inevitable. They're going to happen.
talk to me about the blood infection?
They, a lot of people like Sally. Sally went a long time, I think. I don't even know if she's had one. I know
She went a really long time.
Yeah, and I know somebody else that went probably like 32 years.
Well, she had her port like forever.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And a lot of people.
So you get infections in the port, is what you're talking about? Or?
Well, mine is. She had. I think she might have a one you pull out and pull in. I have a double lumen Hickman. It's in through my jugular.
Okay.
They have the other ones that are with the needle, and then you can put in. I think those are like the ports.
Okay.
And
Do you like the one you have?
yeah, those ones for some reason hurt, and then I come to find out it was the nurse doing and the caretaker I had at the
Just
time
poking away at you?
Yeah, it was their fault because everybody else says it doesn't hurt,
Sure.
and then people agree that it lasts longer. But for me, I was just used to this one. This is probably about my 15th one.
Oh, okay. So you're prone to them.
Maybe about
Or like
10th
you're-
somewhere. Yeah, I've had
It's
quite
a recurring.
few
It's a
blood
recurring
infections.
issue.
Yeah,
From the catheter.
yeah.
Okay.
The day me and my wife set our vows. She lives in Santa Rosa and I'm here, so we.
What does she do?
She works for Sutter Hospital.
Okay.
And the day we had our vows, that morning, I woke up and I knew I had a blood infection. But I didn't want to let her know because I wanted that day to be special, for her. And the day was the 15th, 10/15, and that's also the day of my car accident.
Yeah.
So I wanted also to have a good memory of that day instead of every time that day comes around, I'm like I dread that day. So throughout the day, I just started getting hot. I started sweating. And I knew it. And so we finally get up there, and then she puts her hands on my face and kisses me.
She knew.
She goes, "You're sick, huh?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah." So they had to rush me to the hospital from there. So telling all that, I ended up getting through there. It actually was a tough infection. I forgot what it was, but it was a blood infection. I ended up getting another one right after that, back to back. So having those back to back.
How rough are these on you?
They're pretty bad, and if your body's not in good enough shape, it can be even worse, because it comes in, it destroys your heart, it just hits everything, your organs one by one, and if you're not taking
Your blood
the right,
goes everywhere, right?
yeah, if you're not taking if they haven't found the right,
Like antibody? Or?
antibiotic to get you, then you can suffer for a while, and then they have to, the hospital is practicing medicine, so they have to continue to try to find which one's going to work, and in the meantime they have to take your port out, your catheter out, so that way you won't get so it can heal.
Yeah.
But in that time you're not getting TPN, and TPN's the only thing that can flourish you, so you're in there just I shrink. I think I'm 206, and I think I went down to about 179.
So how long will they take you off of it for?
They call it a holiday, a line holiday, and it's usually for about 3 to 5 days.
Just like, hey, no food for 3 days?
No, but yeah. Well, in my case, my pancreatitis will kick in. Everything, when I get a blood infection, it hits me everywhere. My pancreas will start messing up, so I can't take anything by mouth. So it's just like an IV. They call it PPN, and it's an IV with sugar and something that they pump into you, and then it goes. But those two back to back,
it doesn't nourish you the way TPN would.
Yeah,
So it's just, here's what we can give you.
Yeah, and then they'll slowly try to give you like soft foods and even the hospitals are not too big aware on short bowel syndrome and TPN.
That's one thing I keep hearing.
Yeah. They're getting better. There's people there, and but it's getting better. But if you don't have anybody on your side when you go in there, it could be a rough stay. Because you can actually catch a blood infection from the hospital, which I've caught one before. I went in there for pancreatitis and ended up in there for 3-4 weeks because I got a blood infection in there.
Yeah. Let me tell you something about the last time I was in the hospital. I'm prone to like really bad anxiety, like really, really crippling anxiety. And I keep thinking like I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah.
And so I messaged my buddy Ryan Johnson. You're my hero, man. But I was like, dude, I'm feeling this way. I'm feeling that way. I'm feeling this way. And so they went into the hospital to do all these tests on me, and like once they did an MRI on me, they did a CT on me, and they're like, you're fine.
Yeah.
And so Ryan, who's a doctor, he says, Gibran, I'm afraid you have a condition called the Hispanic panic. Says it's we actually see more Hispanics with anxiety than anybody else. It's a thing.
Yeah.
But what he said to me is like, you keep going to the hospital. That's not a free ride, man.
Yeah.
That's not a free ride. Those environments are really. I mean, there's bugs in there that don't live anywhere else. It's like you get a MRI, you get a scan, you get exposed to that radiation. That's not a free ride.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the more unhealthy things you could do is to go into that environment. So who is on your side?
I got.
Here, let me get you to talk in the mic. You can bring this thing with you too if you want. If you want to lean forward, this arm isn't sensitive.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a caretaker, and I have my wife, I have my kids, family. I got a lot of people on my side, but I do have those days where, like I was saying, after those 2 blood infections, I had a rough couple of years after that. Like I never really kind of bounced back from those, like mentally and physically, because they also attack your brain. And I was finding a lot of other stuff out. So, and at that time is when...
You felt like it took something from you, like permanently.
Yeah, big time. And along with them weaning pain medicine off of, because everything going on with the opiates, that started taking an effect on me because they started taking away pain medicine.
Yeah.
They took away...
Was that ultimately for the better, you think, or maybe not?
So.
Do you feel like they have this plan for you and they just kind of impose it on you?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So the thing was, I kind of started it first because I seen it coming.
Yeah.
My doctor had already lost 3 patients to overdoses, so I kind of seen it coming. So I started taking things away, and it's not. The only person I can blame is me because I had quit in 1 month I had quit my Ambien, lorazepam, and went down 50 pills on my pain medicine, and I went through it. I didn't know that if you stop taking lorazepam for anxiety, you can die. I didn't know that you can lead to deep depression, sleepless nights, insomnia, and then the same with the Ambien. I had been on that regimen for almost 14 years. And it was working for me. The doc my old GI doc was giving me the lorazepam as a 3 different thing for stomach cramps, for to rest at night, and also for anxiety. So that was helping me, big time. And then then my doctor was like, no, you stopped it. I'm not giving that stuff back to you. For one, we're finding out if you mix anxiety medicine, sleeping medicine, and opiates, you can die. Point blank, that you can stop breathing in your sleep.
Yeah, like your blood pressure drops too low.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I understand that, but when you guys had been giving it to me for 14 years and then all of a sudden tell me that it's no good, and I've never ran out of a pill.
You're like, hey, what the heck?
Yeah,
like we were good for 14 years.
Yeah. So I had to get used to finding other mechanisms for anxiety and in doing other things. I got in to see a counselor, and that's been a big help. And just trying other ways of coping with the mechanisms. But, being on TPN, having short gut, just all of that can get to the strongest person.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just the doctor, a surgeon came in my room after all this had happened and told me, he goes, "Hey, you're going to have good days and bad days. That's going to be the story of your life. You know, either you can make it good or you can, you know, continue to dwell in the bad." So I try to make the best of it, you know. Not a lot of people, if you're not on TPN or you weren't with the person during when they had their surgery or their accident, or because there's many ways to get it, then I don't think you can fully understand, you know.
Yeah. No, you know, let me tell you something. Like I kind of feel that too, honestly, because like I'm trying my best to relate to you. I'm trying my best to like empathize.
Yeah.
But I know that I've not gone through what you've gone through, and so I hope you'll forgive me if I ask a question that's
that's what
clearly a stupid question or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, everyone's pathway is kind of unique to them, and it's really hard. Like, I mean, I think that's what makes empathy so special, but also so difficult, right? It's like, well, you've not exactly been through what I've been. You've not exactly been through what I've been through. You know what I mean? And I mean, TPN and short bowel, from one of that, I mean, that's a tough one to go through, and it's really uniquely isolating in a lot of ways. You can't eat socially; the dehydration takes over. I mean, you know, so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
Nonetheless, you know, spoken word. You wrote the book. Quitting is not an option. You are finding these outlets.
Yeah.
You know, when did you start picking up like your creative like work again?
It kind of started. I started finding myself going through the depression kind of setting back in, and I noticed when I got around a lot of people, I would have like I would slowly get a panic attack. I would start. I'd feel like my heart was going to explode. My palms would start getting sweaty. So I started going to the mall. I'd have my caretaker take me to the Art Mall, and I would just walk around. Like, you know how you see the older people, they just go there and they walk the mall. I just started doing that. Yeah. I just started doing that. And then the second time I said, okay, you're going to say hi to 10 people. You know, and then I worked my way to saying hi to people. And then I started just, okay, now you're going to have a conversation with at least one person about anything and not talk about you or your accident. So I would work myself up around that. And then I met a friend who has a barbershop that he was an ex-musician. Him and his brother, they actually had a record from here that went gold, a hip-hop record. They owned a barbershop at Stockton Boulevard, and they would have they had a green room in the barbershop. Cool. Yeah. So they would they would host little shows.
I mean, that's some like really barbershop type of thing.
Yeah. They would host like art shows, like from local artists. They would hang their art up. They would do open mic poetries and certain things. So I kind of started going there, man.
Like, hey, I'm already here.
Yeah. Marichelle Brown, he started giving me a platform, man. He gave me a platform to explain my situation, and then I started getting more into it. And each time I would find somebody, at least one, if not more, persons would walk up to me and tell me thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that I have such and such that's going through this, or I just went through cancer, or I just did this and I can't explain it to people. People don't understand. They see me and think that I'm normal because the way I look on the outside.
Yeah, dude, you look great.
Yeah.
I mean, you look strong.
Thank you. Yeah. People, that's the one thing about this. This thing is like, it's not something you can see. You know what I mean? It's like a hidden.
Yeah.
It's like a hidden thing. Like if I was to take my shirt off, then you would see lines, cords.
Yeah.
You know, scars, and you know. So when you that was another thing, to be able to just share my story without showing my story, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
With your words.
Yeah. So that became big, knowing that I was helping somebody, knowing somebody was going to tell me thank you, and then after time I'd get emails and I would get invites to come perform, and I would get this and I'd get that, and even times I didn't feel like going a couple times. One time I went and did one right after I left UC Davis with a blood infection. And then now, on Facebook, it brings up timelines for old things. And I was like, God, man, the nurse told me, go home after this.
Yeah.
And I ended up going over to the, I think it was at the Brick House Art Gallery. And, as long as like coming here, like today I was having kind of a rough day and I didn't want to pass this off. I didn't even want to pass it off Friday because I feel that somebody is going to listen to this and somebody's going to be like, thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, like you did with Sally.
Yeah.
Like you did with Sally.
Yeah. I turned that on while I was getting in the shower. I seen the name and everything, but I didn't pay attention. I had my phone hooked up to like a speaker in my room, turned it on to get in the shower, and then right when I was getting on, I heard her voice, and I turned the shower off, and I was like,
oh, that's her.
And then I started listening to it, and then I looked the name, and I was like, and I had to sit there and listen to it a couple times.
Yeah. How did you connect with her?
Through Nutrishare. And it might have been an Oli conference too, but it's definitely through Nutrishare. And she would email me and check on me, and we'd text each other, and she would check to see how I was doing. I think at that time, I might have been going back and forth to UCLA talking about a transplant. But it was a few years. It was a intestinal transplant. Yeah.
What's your experience? Like, why didn't you do it?
At the time,
what did you hear about it? What's the word on intestinal transplant?
At the time, the recovery
from
rate,
your perspective, this is not medical. Folks, this is not medical advice or anything. But just
you
looked into it as a consumer.
Yeah.
And you decided it wasn't for you, or you weren't eligible, or what happened?
I was eligible. I was there. Everything probably could have went, but the recovery rate wasn't too good at the time. It's a lot better now, but at the time, I stayed there, I think, for a week or 2 weeks at UCLA, went through all the testings, did everything. And then he had to sit down and explain to me the detail of what could happen, what's going to happen, showed me this video and like
up to and including death.
Yeah, and it's basically I would have had my surgery all over again.
In reverse, they would have
tried to reverse it, opening me up, sticking, another person's intestine, and then I would have to take so many pills, 50, I forgot how many it was, but so many pills each day, so I don't get an infection,
Yeah.
And I wasn't strong enough for that, mentally or physically. I figure if I made it this long, and I've met wonderful people at the Yoli Foundation that have continued to thrive on TPN and live, somewhat of a good life.
Yeah.
So I was like,
is the promise to get you off TPN with the intestinal transplant?
That was the goal.
Yeah.
That was the goal, and to possibly reverse my ileostomy too. Yeah, but there's new things coming out. There's the Gattex. There's I forgot the.
Gattex was just approved for pediatrics.
Yeah. I had been on that for a year, and it had started working. It got me up to 200, almost 30 pounds, and I started getting real big. And
how do you feel about that?
It's just too painful, Nothing against Gattex. It works.
No, I think for you can. I feel like it's okay for you to have your discussion as a consumer without saying obviously you're not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. There's no medical advice here.
Yeah.
But certainly no one would stop you from sharing your experience and your thoughts, right? You said it was painful.
Super painful. It just it kind of got easy for a little while. Easy meaning that it wasn't as painful, but I just, I couldn't get it. I missed a couple of days in class. I missed a couple of tests, and I ended up going to the ER at one point about 4 or 5 months ago because of just abdominal pain. But I can say that works. Whatever it's doing, it's working because I was bulking up. I wasn't even eating or drinking that much fluid, and I still was like bulking up.
Yeah.
I lowered the amount of TPN.
Did you feel better about that? Like, did that make you feel good?
Yeah, I felt better because I felt like more if
vibrant.
none of this happened, I'd probably be about 250 or 240.
Yeah.
I'd probably be somewhere around.
You got a big frame on you.
Yeah, I'd be. Even though I've always been thin. My dad was thin, but at this age, I probably would be about 240 at least, between 235 and 240. And I started to get there, and I started like feeling good about myself. But then I couldn't leave the house. I was in so much pain.
Harder to walk,
You know,
too,
just
or-
hard to walk and then I'm putting all this pressure on my back, which when they put the metal in, I was only 135 pounds at the time.
Oh wow, you really shrank. You really
I
shriveled
went
up.
down. Yeah, I at one point they had weighed me at 129 pounds,
Oh,
and I'm
my
6'3".
goodness, Malik.
You know?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I had got to 135 and slowly started getting myself going a little bit. But, you know, I met a couple people who got on Gattex, got off of TPN, got their ostomy removed, went back to work, got their lives back.
Like whole 180.
Yeah, man. And it's just, I love hearing stories like that.
Good for them.
Yeah,
Good for them.
I love that.
You know, good for them. It wasn't for you.
Yeah, it wasn't, you know, and maybe,
And the intestinal transplant, do you look at that with any regret, or?
no,
Because you said I wasn't strong enough for that, but I feel like it sounds like you maybe. It sounds like you were kind of like, oh, discretion's a better part of valor.
Yeah.
Like this is not worth it for me in my situation.
Yeah. I think that
I mean, that sounds really tough.
I think I made the best decision, because who knows, you know, who knows, and I didn't want to have
Well, I
to
mean, that
put
first surgery could have killed you.
yeah
To say that you're going to do it again.
tell you that's how I was looking at it, because he showed me
Again, I'm not a doctor. Again, I'm not a doctor, but just
Yeah.
kind of thinking and talking this through with you.
yeah he had told me
the first surgery was extremely dangerous.
yeah he had told me what I would go through, and he goes, it's not going to be easy. Excellent doctor, a surgeon doctor, Dr. Farmer, UCLA intestinal doctor, excellent doctor. That was one of the best doctors there. Yeah.
Well, how incredibly honest of him.
He told me one time, I'm going to come back up and I'm going to talk with you, and he goes, I'm not going to hold no bars, you know, I'm going to let you know exactly how this is, and you know how it could end up.
Yeah.
And he sat down and told me everything. Didn't and even my GI doctor, Dr. Halstead here, we sat down when we got back, and he was like, I'm you know, you make the decision. He goes,
Hey,
but
do me a favor, can you talk into the mic a little more?
he goes,
Just bring it with you.
He goes, you do the decision. You make the decision. He goes, but you're doing good right now.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing good the way you are, you know, because that was at a time where I had went almost 10 years without a blood infection. You know, I was doing good.
Yeah. So the folks looking at you are saying, hey, this is
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
This is it.
Definitely.
Hey, so Sally would she would just check in on you just through her own initiative?
Yeah, I just actually went back through some emails that she would write, and one of them, I was telling her that I think I'm here. I think you're here to teach me something, because I'd get this, like, she would say things that before I would even ask them, it's like she knew what I was going to say, and it was just kind of crazy. And I told her one time, I think I'm here to learn something from you. And then the last message I got from her, she goes, no, I think you're here to teach me. I was like, this lady. And, I would be able to ask her some questions about what's going on, you know, while I was in the hospital, and she would check on me and see how I was doing.
Yeah.
And then I had went through, like, probably 5 different phones, then lost her number, and luckily I ended up finally getting another iPhone, and I can pull the iCloud on some emails.
Dude, that's the best.
Yeah.
That's the best.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more expensive, but if you can get it, that is the best.
Yeah.
Hey, you would if you don't mind, and how are you doing? Okay for time? You're good?
Yeah.
You had said on your Facebook, like you posted this really tender message about Father's Day, and one of the things that I read into it was that sort of your accident, kind of like before your accident. You're kind of like running around on the streets, kind of a rolling stone for yourself.
Yeah.
And so if we were to try and stay extremely positive about it, you might say, well, it looks like it calmed you down.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like you have like a newfound focus on your family.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, is that accurate or?
Yeah. A lot of people say that, you know, a lot of people tell me that. Prior to that, though, I had already, prior to moving back up here from Santa Rosa, a year before my accident. I had already, that was the focus, was to move up here to slow down, you know, to start really finding a career that I needed to find, because I was working out there in group homes in juvenile hall with kids, and I had a job, and I loved what I did, but I wanted to find something else that I can do where I can run my own business, you know, and massage therapy was the key. And that had a ground in me, you know, going through those classes, learning like Tai Chi and like yoga and meridians, the body, and then how, you know, things you do are basically karma, are going to come back to get you one way or the other.
Okay.
You know, and I just started learning how to ground myself, and then after that accident, it made me realize, for one, at any given moment we can be gone.
Yeah.
At any given moment we can be gone.
Well, I think that's part of what you were saying about your kids. Where it was like, oh my, don't let me leave without seeing my kids again, right?
Yeah. And yeah. And for two, it made me, like what you said, it made me realize what was important. Like, I almost lost these kids. I would just be a memory and a picture to these kids, you know.
Because you weren't present.
Yeah. I was present. I was there, you know. I'd have my kids on the weekends. Actually, when I was living there, we kind of split them. I would have them half of the week, and then she would have them, you know, through the other half of the week.
Yeah.
But I wasn't present. Like,
yeah,
I'd be doing like other things, like put something in front of them. You know, I would take them to the movies and fall asleep. Yeah. You know, Dad, wake up! I'm in there snoring. I kind of still do that now, but
for different reasons.
Yeah. But I wasn't like there
in the moment with them.
Yeah. So now, like when we're together or with my grandkids, I try to just, you know, sit back and then enjoy the time.
Watch.
Yeah. Enjoy the time. A lot of people don't understand. They're like, well, that's their kids. Why? You know, you're just a grandpa. You're only supposed to have them for a little bit, and then you get to give them back and move. But for me, it's like, I'm not supposed to be here to see them. You know, I wasn't supposed to be here to see them. I didn't have a chance. I'm so lucky to be able to be here to see these kids grow up. Like, they'll never get that. My grandson knows, you know, Papa was in an accident. You know, but that's all. You know, they know that I was in an accident, but that's all they kind of know. They know that I use a cane every now and then. They know I have like a caretaker, a lady that comes over and helps me out of bed sometimes, helps me with the shower, you know, does things. They know that Pop needs help, but they don't really know how serious that was. So anytime they call, like, Dad, can you watch the kids, or we need you, yeah. Even if I'm not feeling good, yeah. You know, because I know at any given moment, soak it all up, any given moment, you know, we all can be gone.
Yeah, you know, it's an interesting thing you said, like going back to the thing with like practicing at the mall.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a conversation about not my accident. Yeah. I'm gonna talk to somebody, and I'm gonna just listen to, you know, kind of like turning the focus on other people.
Yeah.
And I think that that change in perspective is super interesting and important, right? So like, my wife will like call me out on it occasionally when like something, like she'll be telling me a story about something that happened to her. And I'll be like, yeah, this is just like when and she's like, look, you're making it about yourself.
See?
You're making this story about this. Like, I'm trying to tell you a story about me. You know? And she's like, if you shut up, you might listen. Yeah. She's like, if you shut up, you might learn something. You know, if you just be quiet, you might learn something. Yeah. But I think, she'll just be like, hey, listen to yourself here. Like, you know, at first she was very sweet, and then now she's still very sweet, but she's like, you know, look, just, and now I'm starting to catch it in other people. Yeah. Because now that I've kind of had that, like, been exposed to that new perspective or whatever, that awareness.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I'll hear it outside socially. You know, you'll see people that are like pathologically incapable about not making something about themselves. Right. And that's but I mean, I think that's one of the things that like marriage and family does is that it kind of makes you flip your perspective. I'm like, oh, this is about the group. So yeah.
And it's a trip. You say your wife said my wife does the same thing to me. Same thing, you know. She keeps me grounded, and she's like, "It's not about you, you know. What about me? You know, I mean,
this can't be easy on her, right?
Yeah, no, not at all. She goes, you know, I have issues. I have things. I miss you. I haven't seen you. You know, we hadn't seen each other in a month, and it's hard for her because, you know, she makes the effort to come up here to see me because of my condition. You know, sometimes I can't get over there. You know, and she had texted me one time, and then she was like, "It's not all about you." And then that just echoed in my head, and that's how I never wanted it to be. You know what I mean? That's what I've been working so hard to not let it be. And then to hear that, okay, it is like that. I got to work on that. I got to work on that. I got to work on that. And then that's the good part about seeing the counselor, you know. Because I can talk to that guy, and I don't have to worry about him jumping in like, oh, one time that I went through the same thing as you. He just listens.
Yeah.
You know, his job is there to sit there and listen and help me get through whatever I'm going through, you know.
Yeah. But then also give you a little perspective and a little nudge there.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's tough as you get, I think, men need to be civilized by marriage.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's tough as you get older. You know, they say, like, one of the things that my counselor told me was, like, you know, as you get older, your personality doesn't change. In fact, it hardens. So, like, whatever personality traits you have, as you get older, they just become harder. Like anything in your body, right? You know, you don't get more flexible when you're older. You don't get more, you know, you get stiffer. You know, and so you know, that's a good thing that I think that's a good thing that you're doing for yourself is really like, okay, I gotta like while I'm still young and pliable, you know, I can still like acknowledge and identify and tackle some of these things. You know, because you know you try to tackle that later on, it's just too sunk too deep. You know?
It's a lot of work. You gotta try to. So you're not that bitter old man in the corner, you know, when you get older. You want to be able to, you know, enjoy life and enjoy the kids, because especially with kids, because one day they're going to be, you know, they're young now. They need everybody. Once they start getting 16, 17, 18, 19, they're gone. Then you're back to being like, what am I going to do in my life, you know? You're going to be back at that stage, you know?
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's how I was before I met Nutrishare too. Like I was with a different company.
That's what I was going to ask you about.
Yeah, I was with a different company when I first got out of the hospital. And, you know, I liked them. They did a lot for me. They went out their way to do things. And I had seen something about Nutrishare, I think, online, you know, before me switching over to them. And then I started hinting every now and then, hey, do you guys do like meetings or groups or know of anybody? And I think they had mentioned the Oli Foundation, but didn't say too much about it. And then as time went on, Nutrishare, like the ad on the internet started getting better and better. I seen that they went on a cruise, and they had a big people on TPN, and they went on a cruise somewhere. Then I see another one that they have a support line. Then I see this. Then I see they have a nutritionist, and then finally one time it was like, let me call them. Yeah. So I called them. They didn't persuade me. They knew I was with another company, a competitor, and they never once asked me to switch over to them. They just said, we could send you some information about us and what we do. And then once they send over that, I think that's where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, so I called.
So you feel like, what are your thoughts? Like, who's your clinician?
Oh God, I can't think. I talk to him every day.
Richard?
Ian. Sorry, Ian. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Ian, real good guy, man. And he actually used to be at the other place where I was at, but I don't think we ever crossed paths. But Real good guy, man. Goes out his way to make sure my labs are okay. Like anything I want. Like every time, sometimes I get out of town, and I usually forget stuff, and then I'll call them. They'll UPS it to wherever I'm at. Then they'll make sure I get it. One time I was short TPN because I wanted to stay longer where I was at. Next thing I know, maybe 10 hours later, there's a bang at the door, and
Oh my God, 10 hours.
Two boxes of TPN right there. Another night I had left a line that was detrimental, or else I would ended up either having to go back home or go to the ER for a line that I needed. Next day, boom, it was there.
Wow.
They go out their way to make sure, and then especially with.
So when you call over, there are human answers.
Yeah. No answer machine.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's you call, and then there's a little thing that says to type into where you want to go, but I never have any problem with. I've never had one problem with them, and I've been there for quite a while now. 7 years, I want to say, somewhere around there. I've been there for quite a while, and I've never had one problem.
Yeah.
One problem with anybody. If anything, they went out my way to make sure. Even I think it was Reid. I was having issues with my back because I was getting these needle shots, and he knew I don't like wearing the backpack. I hate wearing that backpack. So he made me a Nike one where he made himself put a holder for the bag, and then he put a thing on it so that way he put rollers on it so I can roll it.
Nice.
I have that thing, and I still use it when I go to like the airport or if I'm going somewhere, and he didn't have to do that.
But it's that personal touch.
Yeah. It's just, he didn't have to go out his way and do anything like that. Yeah. Nutrishare strong, always. Always.
Very
Those
cool.
are excellent people over there from everybody. Any clinician, but Ian's my go-to guy.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Malik, I think we're at about 50 minutes. I think this is a pretty good place to end it here.
Nice.
You're a warrior, man.
Appreciate
You're a
you,
warrior.
brother. Appreciate
no,
you.
it's really inspiring. Like actually when you walked in, honestly, when you walked in when I met you the first time, I was like, there's no way that guy's a consumer. So you look so big and strong. So I was like, what's this guy doing here? Folks can follow your journey on social media, on Facebook, under Quitting Is Not an Option.
Quitting is not an option.
And then we'll put a link to your spoken word as well.
Nice.
Stories from the Fifth Floor.
Nice.
Malik, thanks for coming on, man.
Appreciate you guys. Nutrishare strong. Remember that.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Nutrishare podcast. You can find links to Malik's spoken word poetry in the description notes below. As a reminder, the video of the talk is available on YouTube, and the audio is available on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you again for joining us.